Picture this, it's 1987 and 12-year-old Andrew Huberman is standing in the wreckage of what used to be his family. His parents' marriage has just shattered, leaving him caught between two worlds, his father, an Argentine physicist lost in equations, and his mother, a children's book author weaving stories from broken pieces. But here is the twist nobody saw coming. That devastating split didn't just break his heart, it cracked open something extraordinary. What emerged from that chaos wasn't another tragic tale of broken home. It was the birth of a super brain. Before he became the Stanford neuroscientist everyone hangs on every word of, before the podcast that changed millions of lives, and before the protocols that optimize human performance, Andrew Huberman was a punk kid getting into straight fights, bombing hills on his skateboard, and basically doing everything your parents told you not to do. Sounds like a recipe for a disaster, right? But here is the twist. That beautiful chaos was secretly rewiring his brain into something magnificent. And by the end of this video, you will discover exactly how teenage rebellion became the blueprint for building what I call a super brain. Now I know what you are thinking. How does a rebellious kid who skips class and blasts punk rock end up revolutionizing neuroscience? That's exactly the question that kept me at night, digging into the untold story of Andrew Huberman's transformation. Because here is what nobody talks about. The most formidable brains aren't built in classrooms or laboratories. They are forged in the messy, unpredictable crucible of real-life experiences. And Huberman's teenage years? They were the perfect storm of chaos and creativity that sculpted one of the sharpest minds in science today. So whether you're 16 or 60, whether you are a parent wondering if your kid's rebellious phase is a disaster waiting to happen, or you are someone looking to rewire your own brain for peak performance, this story is about to change everything you thought you knew about building mental strength. By the time we are done here, you will walk away with a proven protocol that can transform your brain at any age. No supplements, no expensive gadgets, just the raw, unfiltered science of how chaos builds champions. Chapter 1st, the split that sparked it all. When Andrew's world imploded at 12, something fascinating happened. Instead of retreating into depression or clinging to what was left, he did something unexpected. He embraced the chaos completely. Gone were the predictable rhythms of suburban life. No more family dinners at 6 sharp, no more homework supervised at the kitchen table. Instead, he found himself drawn to the cracked concrete of California's skate parks, where a tribe of misfits became his new family. But here is where the story gets interesting from a neuroscience perspective. Every time young Andrew dropped into a half pipe, every time he attempted a trick that could send him flying, his brain was receiving something it had never experienced before. Immediate, unfiltered feedback from the real world. School had always been about delayed gratification. Study now, get grades later. Maybe succeed someday. But skating, that was different. Land the trick, feel the rush, miss it, hit concrete. No participation trophies, no second chances, no teacher to soften the blow. This wasn't just teenage rebellion, it was his brain's first taste of what scientists now call high-stakes learning, and it was absolutely intoxicating. Chapter 2nd, Flow States. What Andrew didn't realize as he carved through those concrete balls was that he was accidentally hacking his neurochemistry in ways that would make modern biohackers jealous. Every time he locked into a perfect line, time seemed to slow down. The world around him, the noise, the crowds, even his own racing thoughts, all of it just melted away. He was discovering what we now call flow state, and his teenage brain was absolutely gorging itself on this neurological feast. Here is what was happening inside his head during those sessions. His brain was flooding with dopamine, cranking up his motivation to superhuman levels. Norepinephrine was sharpening his focus to laser precision. Endorphins were washing away any trace of pain or doubt. And anandamide was unlocking creative solutions to physical puzzles he had never encountered before. And perhaps most importantly, his brain was pumping out massive amounts of BDNF, that is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it as a miracle grow for your neurons. This molecule was literally rewiring his brain, creating new connections, strengthening existing ones and building what scientists call neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt, learn, and recover. Most kids his age were sitting in classrooms, passively absorbing information. Andrew was actively sculpting his brain into something extraordinary. Chapter 3: Controlled Chaos Builds Resilience. Now let's talk about the pain, because there was plenty of it. Scrapped elbows became badges of honor. Bruce ribs told stories of ambitious attempts, and that one time he nearly broke his back. That wasn't a setback, it was a masterclass in resilience. Every fall taught his nervous system something crucial. You can handle this, you can bounce back, and you can try again. This wasn't just about physical toughness, it was about rewiring his brain's relationship with stress, failure, and recovery. What Andrew was experiencing is what scientists call hormesis, controlled stress that doesn't break you but makes you stronger. It's the same principle behind why he now plunges into 45 degrees water at dawn, why he embraces strategic fasting, why he trains with an intensity that will make most people quit. He learned something at 13 that most people never discover. The discomfort you lean into becomes your competitive edge. The stress you learn to dance with becomes your superpower. Chapter 4: The Artist's Advantage. But Andrew's brain wasn't just being shaped by concrete and cortisol. There was another force at work, the artist's soul he inherited from his mother. While his body was learning to navigate physical spaces with precision, his mind was being trained to think in images, metaphors, and stories. This wasn't just about creativity for creativity's sake, it was about developing what neuroscientists call cognitive flexibility, the ability to see patterns where others see chaos, to translate complex ideas into simple, memorable concepts, to make connections between seemingly unrelated fields. This is why his lectures today don't sound like dry scientific presentations. They feel alive, visual, and almost cinematic. The artist within the scientist was learning to speak in a language that doesn't just inform, it transforms. And that combination of raw physicality and refined creativity was creating something unprecedented in his developing brain. Chapter 5: From Concrete to Cortex. The path from skateboard punk to Stanford professor wasn't straight, it was beautifully chaotic. Andrew dropped out of high school, then came back. He watched glassware in research labs and started asking questions that made seasoned researchers stop and think. But here is the crucial insight. None of this was wasted time. Every seemingly random experience was adding another layer to the neural architecture that would eventually revolutionize our understanding of vision, sleep, stress, and human optimization. The mental toughness forged in skate parks that became the resilience needed to push through years of grueling research. The pattern recognition developed through art that became the ability to see connections others missed. The comfort with controlled chaos that became the courage to challenge scientific orthodoxy. This wasn't a detour from his destiny, it was the blueprint for greatness. Chapter 6: The SCATE Protocol, Your Brain Upgrade. So how do you steal the genius from this origin story and apply it to your own life? I have distilled it into what I call the SCATE Protocol, 5 elements that can transform your brain at any age. First, S. Skill with skates. Choose something that challenges you physically and mentally. Maybe it's martial arts, chess under pressure, dance, or yes, even skating. The key is full attention with real consequences. Give it at least 10 focused minutes every day. C. For controlled stress. Embrace short bursts of intense discomfort. Cold showers, strategic fasting, hill sprints, whatever pushes you slightly beyond your comfort zone. Remember, stress plus recovery equals resilience. A. For art plus curiosity. Don't just consume content, create it. Draw, write, build, tinker. This activates neural pathways that pure analytical thinking can't reach. It's about balancing the scientist with the artist. T. For tied feedback loops. Journal your wins, losses, and insights. Make the learning steep by reflecting on what worked, what didn't, and what you will try next. This locks in the neural patterns you are building. And E. For embrace rebellion. Don't follow every trend or accept every rule without question. Sometimes the path to breakthrough requires breaking away from the crowd. Longevity isn't about playing it safe, it's about intelligent risk taking. Huberman's superbrain wasn't built in a classroom or a laboratory. It was forged in the beautiful chaos of teenage rebellion, artistic expression, and controlled risk-taking. That cocktail of experiences created one of the most influential voices in neuroscience today. Your takeaway? You don't need to be a scientist to think like one. You just need to train your brain the way Andrew accidentally did, with intensity, creativity, and the courage to lean into discomfort. The question isn't whether you can rewire your brain for peak performance. The question is, are you ready to embrace the chaos? So tell me, what's your go-to flow activity? What's the one thing that makes you lose track of time and push your limits? Drop it in the comments below because I read every single one. If this story sparked something in you, smash that like button and subscribe to the Longevity Journey, where science meets soul and where we uncover the hidden stories behind peak human performance. Next week, we are diving into another incredible origin story, another leader whose unlikely past holds the keys to understanding human potential. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until then, go find your chaos. Your brain is waiting. I will see you in the next one.